Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the world's most watched professional wrestling news program, the Pro Wrestling Report. Dameon Nelson here, sitting alongside the man they call Meathead. We are your hosts as we embark on this weekly journey to bring you all the latest true wrestling news and rumors from the world of professional wrestling. And Meathead, we've got an action-packed show this week, so let's kick it off with WWE news.
We'll fix it now.
The biggest news to come out of WWE last week was a big release before a re-debut. The man is the Boogeyman. He is no longer going to be getting anybody in WWE. Meathead, you as a mark for the Boogeyman, what do you think?
Boogeyman, I'm coming to get you. I'm coming to get you. What happened?
Well, what had happened was the Boogeyman was released because he was not meeting WWE's expectations for his rehab. That's the word I was looking for. Rehab due to his leg injury. Apparently not meeting doctor's appointments and not seemingly putting forth the efforts that most other athletes would put forth to get themselves back in the ring sooner, faster, and better than they were before they went out. Boogeyman gone has been gone since about WrestleMania. Will the SmackDown viewers miss him? Meathead.
No. Unfortunately, even though SmackDown, a la WCW, in whatever year you want to call it, said, the Boogeyman's coming, the Boogeyman's coming back, he's coming back, he's coming back, they're not going to even answer it.
WrestleMania is an event I alluded to just a little while ago. As you know, WrestleMania 22 emanated from Chicago, Illinois last year. 23 is from Detroit, Michigan at Ford Field this year. It's the 20th anniversary of WrestleMania 3, which is difficult to say, because it's the 23rd WrestleMania, but it's the 20th anniversary of WrestleMania 3. And we all know the big headlining event of WrestleMania 3, match of WrestleMania 3, was Hogan versus Andre the Giant for the WWF Championship. And many say that there was a lot of controversy and drama surrounding that match because nobody really knew what Andre was going to do. Well, you know the way it turned out. Andre the Giant drops the drops the victory to Hollywood Hulk Hogan before he was Hollywood. Now the question, and the rumor that's out there, is a man has stepped forward to be that next opponent for Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 23. We speculated about it a couple of weeks ago, but we didn't talk about the Big Show being a potential opponent for Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 23 in Detroit, Michigan at Ford Field. Meathead, match potential there.
We've seen it already. Obviously, Big Show and Hollywood, if you will, have wrestled in WCW many a time, and I don't think...
Well, 8 people saw it then. Okay, 12. Sorry.
I don't think it's going to be very respectful to put in a Andre the Giant gimmick like...
Well, I thought he was his son.
Exactly. That's exactly why it would be respectful. The match that should be at WrestleMania 23 should be Austin Hogan.
You're still laying your eggs all in that basket, huh? Austin Hogan? I think it's got some potential. Hogan is the one who's pitching this idea. I misspoke earlier when I said it was the Big Show. Hogan's the one who is apparently pitching this idea of him versus Big Show at WrestleMania 23. So you've already got 90% of the problem solved with Hogan wanting to participate. Now, what does it mean for the future of the Big Show, who's been around for a number of years, almost 10 actually, wrestling?
And that's ironic that he's been around 10, because what was his contract in WWE when he came in?
I believe his first deal was 5 years.
It was a 10-year contract.
Oh, really?
I believe it was a 10-year contract.
I have to get the intern. That intern you were talking about on Max Sports working on that.
Oh, that guy's a bum. He walked in front of the camera a couple times.
What does it do to the Big Show's career if he wins? Let's say that match happens at WrestleMania 23. It's Hogan versus Big Show. What if Hogan actually passes the torch,
There's
if you will?
the other 10%. You just said it's 90. You said it's 90% solved if Hogan says he wants to participate.
To get the match done, yeah.
Yeah, there's the other 10% right there. Is Hogan going to lay down for TBS?
Question and answer. I think if the circumstances are correct and due to the significance of the event and the significance of the statement that would be made, I think Hogan would be willing to participate under those circumstances.
No, not Hulk Hogan, not Hollywood Hogan. Not the real American, not the Patriot. None of those guys.
Del Wilkes
are not going to lay down at WrestleMania. No.
Do you? Would you care to make it interesting?
One shiny ducat.
We want to know what you think, folks. It was a hot topic when we brought it up a couple of weeks back. Who should be in that match with Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 23? Meathead still says it should be Stone Cold Steve Austin. I think that you've got a bigger match there, but you've got more of a story in the Big Show Hogan matchup.
Oh, because of the gimmick wearing off of the Andre the Giant thing. That's terrible.
Fans buy that kind of stuff. That's terrible. They're into that.
No. You go with Austin Hogan. Again, we alluded to it from this previous Hall of Fame ceremony, the banter between Hogan and Austin. Hogan did not go for that at all, and Austin thought he was awfully funny. So did we.
It looks as if the site for WrestleMania 24 has been somewhat determined. And I have
not
said...
Milwaukee.
Not at all. I have said for years that this should happen. It hasn't happened since 1993. Jim Ross's first event with WWE.
Oh, and I'll get into Jim Ross a little bit later in this very program.
Oh, you're finally going to admit he's the greatest play-by-play man in the whole damn business? WrestleMania 24 is looking like it will emanate from Las Vegas, Nevada, the world's greatest city and the city of entertainment, the MGM Grand Casino, which features the MGM Grand Garden Arena, where WCW's Halloween Havoc emanated from many a year. Looks like it may be the host to WrestleMania 24.
I'd finally get to Vegas.
I left from Vegas this morning, just back in, where are we? This is Milwaukee, right?
Where am I? How old is this cheese?
Kurt Angle.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Lots of new information on this story. Kurt Angle, as you know, released from WWE several weeks back for personal reasons, mutual agreement. Everybody hopes that at some point down the road, Kurt Angle will show back up in WWE. When I say everybody, I mean Kurt Angle's parties and WWE's parties. Now, here's the glitch in that plan, and it's something we speculated on when the news broke. What else would Kurt Angle get into while not an active employee of WWE? Well, it looks as if he has entered talks with the Ultimate Fighting Championship, UFC. It also looks like he's seriously considering a run with MMA, which includes your K1 and your Pride promotions. He says, Kurt Angle says, that he is back 85% to 100% of fighting readiness, which means he thinks he's ready to get back in there. These month or two that he's had off, he's gained 20 pounds back. He was down to 220, now he's up to 240, so he says, and he's ready to get back in the ring. One thing that was publicly stated, physically. One thing that was publicly stated when Kurt Angle was released was the concerns by many in WWE of Kurt Angle's readiness to get back in the ring when he chose to do it.
Do you really think Kurt Angle is mentally ready to go on the road, to get into the ring, and to leave his family behind?
Oh, yeah, of course. Wrestling is his life.
I don't know.
Wrestling's his life. The question is how would Kurt Angle fare in, let's say, a UFC contest where Daniel Puder is trying to lobby to get a match between him and Kurt Angle set up for UFC somewhere in 2007?
It's a possibility. I think Angle will fare well enough, but not top of the line, not one of the top guys. I mean, you take Kurt's amateur wrestling background, obviously, Olympic gold medalist, blah, 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 blah.
With a broken freaking neck.
Yeah. That's a problem, though. He did break his neck. He has had surgically, replaced his neck, basically. I mean, he's gone through the same surgery that almost every wrestler goes through at some point in their career. The fusion, of the spine. From all the compression, from all the body shots that he's taking. Kurt Angle has gone through too much physical trauma to actually be completely successful in a UFC.
Interesting point. Folks, this one could go anywhere, and we are very interested to hear what you have to say. Send us your electronic mail messages, hit us up on the message board, hit us up on the blog, wherever you so choose to see fit to interact with us, do so, and we will. Actually, next week, we're going to be bringing you yet another edition of Viewer Mail. So next week, right here on this very program, it's Viewer Mail Volume 4. Your emails feed the show and make the product. So, yes,
and one viewer tapes.
So tune in next week, folks. If you've been sending those emails in, we've got a whole stack of them that we're going to be reviewing next week right here on this very program. But back to the topic at hand, which is Kurt Angle. What do you think? Where should he show up? Whether it be WWE, participating with MMA promotions, which is where Brock Lesnar is, by the way.
People think TNA. Some think TNA. Some think that he could just show up out of nowhere and go after a Samoa Joe.
Well, again, the one thing that no one's talked about is whether or not there is a no-compete in his contract.
There's a
Because
possibility.
I remember when Brock Lesnar left WWE. Granted, circumstances were different, but he had a 20-year no-compete clause in his contract, which meant he could barely ever wrestle on TV again.
Here's the thing. They really developed Brock Lesnar into what he is. Kurt Angle was something when he came to WWE.
True. But that's again the unknown variable is what is the no compete, if any. I just find it very difficult to believe that WWE would have cut him loose and allowed him to show up as soon as he saw fit on any other program, namely the competition, TNA or UFC.
How is I'm kind of curious. How is UFC really the competition? I can't even speak.
UFC is
to WWE.
They are the next in line for pay-per-view buy rates as far as the success. Remember, WWE sells more pay-per-views than anything, and UFC is very, very closely behind. They're doing events on a regular basis, drawing $3, $4, $5 million gates, and their ratings are substantially high compared to other programs of its type. Now, there's no other fighting programs on, but when you look at the Spike numbers, the ECW numbers, the SmackDown numbers, and take Raw out of the equation.
Are there SmackDown numbers?
Take Raw out of the equation, you've got yourself a formidable competitor.
Is SmackDown even on here in Milwaukee?
Starting this Friday, it is back.
At what time?
On the CW.
At what time?
The CW Anderson Network.
At what time?
I believe at 7 p.m.
Wrong.
Well, it's on Channel 18 now, so there's no more conflicts with the Bucks or Brewers. So there has been a channel change here in Milwaukee. Raw
Check
last
your
week,
local listings
speaking
for
of
further
Raw,
information.
Got a 3.7 rating up from a 3.6, just to make sure all the information's out on the table, as I am a Democrat. Monday Night Football on ESPN drew a 10.6. Now, the ESPN Monday Night Football numbers are not markedly different from the ABC Monday Night Football numbers, but lower. Certainly not the big numbers
Do you know why
that
they're
ABC
lower?
was pulling in.
Do you know why?
They are lower. Why?
Well, for one, ESPN is not in every household.
As ABC is.
Correct. That's your main reason right there. ESPN does have about a 90% penetration, 95% penetration. So
Compared to your 22%?
No. Trust me, I'm going balls deep. It's got about a 90-95% penetration. That one just went right over the head, didn't it?
Oh, it certainly didn't. And we've been doing this show for almost 10 years, and you know that you just leave it there.
Dang.
ECW News Extreme Championship Wrestling. Last week got a 1.6 rating down from a 1.9. That's about 200,000 viewers, maybe a little more, that they lost from week to week.
Maybe it's because of the crap they keep putting on every week. Possibly.
How do you feel about this Ariel? Ariola?
I like her a lot. She's kind of filthy.
She has enhanced herself recently.
That's okay.
Paul,
I mean, because if I crash, I need her in front of me in the car anyway.
ECW will be part of the Survivor Series card. We don't know in what way, shape, or form, but it is very close to their December to Dismember pay-per-view that will be occurring at the end of this year, which you really haven't heard much about from WWE or ECW for that matter. That's about all that's going on in ECW news this week. Not much, and maybe that tells you a little bit more about the product.
A little something I'd like to get into Raw.
A little something or something?
A little something. Monday Night Raw.
This past week's Monday Night Raw?
Monday Night Raw.
Emanating from Montreal. Something happened
Jim
in
Ross.
97, I think.
Jim Ross. Crapped.
Good old JR.
Crapped all over the Lita Candice Michelle match. He crapped all over it. Best play-by-play man in the business?
Name somebody who's better. Name one active, participating, play-by-play wrestling commentator who's better than good old JR.
Mike Tenay.
Oh!
Michael
Sack.
Cole.
What? You just said,
Joey
after
Styles.
2 weeks ago, you said on this very program, and said Michael Cole was pathetic. Now you're voting him higher than JR.
After what I heard from JR?
In
yes.
one match over a 30-year
He
career.
crapped.
One match over a 30-year career.
All over that match.
Maybe it was the activity in the ring.
It was not, because Lita is a wrestler. She can work in
Wrestler
the
or
ring.
wrestler?
She's a wrestler.
Okay.
Candice Michelle has been working her arse
She was a
off.
sports entertainer.
She was working her arse off for the last year and a half, and can work in the ring now. Okay?
Okay.
He crapped all over that match.
Fair
He
enough.
left a big steaming pile on top of that match. And matter of fact, can't somebody get the man a glass of tea and honey, please?
Sugar, honey, and iced tea?
Something, because it's the greatest match.
You said today's better. Next, you're going to be saying Down West is better.
Don West will never, ever get up past the level of Mark Madden.
That's where I was just fixing to go. Mark Madden or Don West? If you had to pick, if the two were standing in front of you and you're in high school getting ready to play
I'm thinking about
dodgeball, and you had to pick,
while I'm thinking about
who's going to be the last one?
While I'm thinking about it, please propose it to the website, to the people on the boards, and I'll think about my answer.
Don West or Mark Madden?
Do the whole
or
thing.
Or Steve McMichael.
Do the whole thing, www.maxsport. Do the whole thing.
Oh, that's, they typically have found the website already if they're watching this. But anyways, we are at MaxSportsOnline.com /PWR, the Pro Wrestling Report subsite of MaxSportsOnline.com. Let us know, folks, worst color commentator of all time. 3 candidates: Mark Madden, Don West, and the third, I forgot already,
was
Steve Mongo McMichael. Now, we are talking about when he had the dog.
Can I throw a fourth in there?
Yes.
Stevie Ray.
No. Because it's clear he was horrible. Those are your 3 candidates. Hit us up. Let us know what you thought.
So I have to choose out of the 3, right? We can't use
3.
Stevie Ray in there?
Cannot.
Okay. The worst one is Don West, because Don West did not have a wrestling background.
True.
That's the answer.
Neither did Steve Mongo McMichael, except for his WrestleMania 11 appearance.
He wrestled. So when he came out...
I commentated first. Then he wrestled.
But he still wrestled.
Let's move on over to Total Nonstop Action News, TNA. This is a pretty big one, folks. No Surrender, the pay-per-view coming up this Sunday on pay-per-view. Headlined by Jeff Jarrett versus Samoa Joe. I believe it's a Fans Are the Lumberjacks match. Which actually was intriguing TV, what they delivered a little while ago with the Lumberjacks around the ring. Now, they were obviously some planted people, but it worked. And I think that they're playing off the hatred of Jeff Jarrett exceptionally well.
Something that was brought up by this man right here.
That's me.
Hate heat.
Hate heat. There's a big announcement. The face of wrestling is going to be changed again for TNA, which they do once a year. However, it is not much of a change as much as it is a throwback. As you may or may not have heard, it looks as if a man who has become synonymous with professional wrestling and sleaze in professional wrestling is coming back, already back in TNA. His name is Vince Russo. Back on the booking committee, bumping Mike Tenay and Scott D'Amore. That was Tenay booking committee. But the creative team. Getting bumped off of that are those two. Unknown what Jeremy Barash's role will be, but Vince Russo coming back. Lots of ramifications could come of this. Lots of athletes currently with TNA are not the biggest fans of Vince Russo. So you have a problem there. You've got a lot of contracts fixing to expire.
But Vince has found Jesus.
I think he found him and didn't like what he found and moved on again. I think he's back making deals with the devil. You should see that on Sunday's pay-per-view. Now, the reasoning that Vince Russo has been brought back. TNA is in a bit of a panic right now because of their ratings decline. Not horrible, but they are pretty much flat where they are delivering in the ratings. Also, it's looked at as they don't want sleaze. They want somebody with more creative flair than, I guess, Tenay and D'Amore to come in and freshen up the product. Just sitting there, expressionless, motionless.
Because Scott D'Amore, obviously, I mean, he runs a wrestling fed.
I don't think he does anymore.
Christy Hemme is actually up there training right now.
She's got to wait 5 weeks because of that ulcer thing. 3D, Team 3D is close to renewal on their contract. As we were talking about several superstars of TNA, which I hope I don't get sued for saying that because they're getting sued
superstars of TNA
by the same person.
Sure, yeah. Don't get sued.
But these stars, may look at this as something like, well, I don't want to be a part of this. Maybe they leave. Maybe that opens the door for WWE. We still haven't heard about what's going to happen with the Monty Brown or Ron Killings. You've got a lot of people hanging out there on TNA.
As much as you don't like that man, Monty Brown could get over.
Period.
Monty Brown could get over in WWE, even though they already have Brock.
Would he be better or worse than Ahmed Johnson? Because I look at Monty Brown and I see a Ahmed Johnson
fitter
who could actually speak and articulate himself. Which Ahmed couldn't do.
I don't know. Yeah, I think Monty Brown could get over it. Like I said, even though they already have the Brock Lesnar, whatever.
Black Lesnar.
What is his real name?
Bobby Lashley.
Bobby Lashley. They have one. Maybe one for Raw. Because you got to sprinkle that in there with Crime Time.
Vince Russo, good or bad move for TNA? Now, keep in mind, he was there before. And I think he did 2 runs in TNA.
Yeah, this is his 3rd. You're absolutely right. I think it's fine for TNA. I think he needs to do something shocking. I think the company needs to do something shocking. Vince Russo isn't it, but you can put it to Vince Russo's name. Valid points. What are we doing? What kind of program is this?
This is the Pro Wrestling Report, I'm not sure.
Apparently, we're getting all newsy here. I started to show up drunk laying back in the chair, and I'm up talking news now. I haven't even pulled out the...
Let's go now, ladies and gentlemen, to the top 5. Each week, we tell you the top 5 names who we see are in the world of professional wrestling. And we typically start with the Republican because they're probably just going to recount until they win anyways. Meathead, take it away. Your top 5.
Go Team Elephant. Number 5 on my top 5 is going to go out to my tag team slot. Crime Time.
Oh, you did that.
Oh, yeah, I went there.
That's a shame.
Homie shouldn't have asked for directions in the hood. Yeah, I bet you he's wishing he MapQuested by now.
That was actually, the second promo was actually pretty good.
Number 5 going out to Crime Time. Number 4 is going to be a soon returning Chris Benoit. Can't wait to see you come back. Number 3.
Is he rabid and a Wolverine?
Yes, a rabid Wolverine.
What about...
Toothless
is he going to come back with the toothless? Okay.
Number 3 is a guy that hopefully will come back within the next 2 years. I'm going to pull a Carl Love right here. Are you ready? I predict Chris Jericho will return to wrestling, and he will return to Raw. Raw will be Jericho. Number 3, Chris Jericho. Number 2 goes out to Candice Michelle. Again, working as a wrestler. Even though I did see her just on an episode of the Mad Show, now airing on G4, where she was working her puppies.
Is she doing the...
No, that was before she had that move.
Oh.
She went to training for that. And number 1 on my top 5 is going to go out to Frank Cosentino because, you know, that Sally finally went to the dentist and he finally got it taken care of, but he was in here crying like a little girl. Frank Cosentino, you're number 1 on my top 5.
And the definitive top 5 list, the one all of you clamor to your television screens to see. It's a great word, clamored. I've used it every week for several years.
I like its abbreviation, Clam.
Chowder from New England. It's got a couple of viewers from New England.
Say chowder.
Chowder.
No, it's chowder.
The definitive top 5 list, ladies and gentlemen, number 5 in this order, John Cena. Fans, as I said in the typewritten wrap-up of Unforgiven, if you haven't gained respect for John Cena, there's a problem. John Cena is delivering each and every match that he performs in now. I have said many a time, John Cena, not a good wrestler. He earned respect. Not only at the SummerSlam match or the ECW pay-per-view, but at this Unforgiven match on top of a pay-per-view card that actually was pretty good, better than it should have been. Phenomenal matchup, and you can't take away from Edge, obviously, but John Cena deserves some respect, folks. Number 4 on the list is Carlito Caribbean Cool, man who should have beaten Randy Orton.
Because that's his real name. People forget that it's actually Carlito Caribbean Cool.
Some have referred to him as Razor Ramon 2006.
Yes.
He didn't have a white Cadillac, though. That was what Razor had in his promos before he came. And number 3, the current reigning WWE Tag Team Champions of the world, the Spirit Squad.
Dameon saw him at Lambeau Field this last Sunday.
I swear it was the University of Wisconsin Green Bay, but they wear the same type of flags and trampolines and stuff. Number 2, the man who was robbed in the opening matchup of the Unforgiven pay-per-view for the Intercontinental Championship. The charismatic enigma, Jeff Hardy.
The fatty, Jeff Hardy.
And number 1, ladies and gentlemen, on my top 5 list, a man who delivered a match of epic proportions at Unforgiven last week at Toronto's Air Canada Centre in his hometown, Edge. A man who I will not say needs to be the champion right now.
You know what's kind of odd is that the fact that he didn't bring up Big Show's butt, because unfortunately that should have been the top 5, because 5 people could have fit in that thing if they would have kept shoving more faces in there.
Couple of program notes, ladies and gentlemen. Like we said, next week it's going to be Viewer Mail Volume 4. Week after that, we're going to take a special look at TNA, Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. And just for the next couple of weeks, the wrap-ups will be absent from MaxSportsOnline.com as we are renovating our online studios. So look for the wrap-ups to come back in the first couple of weeks of
We had
October.
news going up until like 5 minutes ago, and I started goofing off. I'm sorry.
Thank you all of you who have visited the website. Last Monday was our second busiest day for traffic and visitors in the history of the website. The day on top of that is only the day after WrestleMania 22.
You know, I can't wait till we've done this over a year, at least with the website and tracking the traffic, because I want to see what kind of trends we can get.
Trends. How about 188,500 downloads?
Wow.
That's what we've achieved in the last 8 months. And actually, we haven't achieved a damn thing.
Without porn and without chicken.
And without pop-ups and annoying. You know, there are certain wrestling news sites, and I do visit the wrestling news sites. But they should be disgusted with themselves because if you don't pay the $4, $5, whatever dollars a month or whatever, your computer is hacked by all the stupid pop-ups and pop-unders and pop-overs and pop-throughs that come up on those websites just so you can come see what happened backstage at Unforgiven last night. And you click over. And what's the story, Meathead?
The story is make sure to click here to win a free PS3.
And then?
And then make sure to click here to win a new plasma TV.
And then the news line is Vince McMahon was backstage at Raw last week.
And then make
Worth
sure you
clicking for me.
Make sure to click here to get a Nintendo Wii.
Wee. That is it for this week's edition of the Pro Wrestling Report. Ladies and gentlemen, we invite you, like I said, to tune in next week. Viewer Mail Volume 4. And for the Meathead, this is Dameon Nelson. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time right here on the Pro Wrestling Report.